Sony is being destroyed from every angle and now face a $500 million lawsuit.
Sony's been having a rough go of it as of late after announcing physical games would no longer be happening after January 2028, and people are pissed. And people are starting to dig into researching why they might be going the direction they are.
I've been warning people, if they don't stop just buying into the slop and buying into the toxic positivity and labeling all the criticism as hate, this is what you're going to get. And here we fucking are, and it's going to get worse, by the way.
And why they're not changing that direction. We're going to start with Cabrutus. And I found this interesting. He says 6 of Sony's top 10 shareholders are BlackRock.
Uh-huh.
Now, to be fair, that's pretty much the same in every company because BlackRock and Vanguard have...
That's why I hate corporations. These publicly traded corporations, they're not owned by BlackRock, but BlackRock will have like a 7%, 8% stake in the company. But also Vanguard will have a 7-8% stake in the company, and fucking what's the other one? The something Street will have 7%, and whoever Raytheon became will have 7%, and then there you go. That's over 25%, and so they just control everything. And I think they do a one share, one vote system with Sony, which, you know, when you got non-gamers making decisions in your gaming corporation, that's bad. Because that's when you get labeled consumers by these corporations instead of customers.
Infinite money, so they're pretty much the highest investors in everything. But I do find this curious because BlackRock Fund Advisors, number 1, and then BlackRock Japan, number 3, majority shareholders in Sony Group. And it's going to make you wonder, with the World Economic Forum and being in bed with them, with BlackRock and Vanguard and pushing the agenda of you'll own nothing and be happy, if this appeases their masters with going that direction. And we got Pirate Nation who says, Sony's...
Yep, well, Sony better get used to owning nothing and being happy about it. Fuck them.
Decision to stop making physical PlayStation games after January 20...
Because if they keep doing this, people aren't going to buy into them anymore. And they're going to own nothing. And you better not cry about it.
2028 is now being used against the company in a major lawsuit. The lawsuit seeking $457 million in damages.
You shouldn't let these investors take over. BlackRock, I think that companies should be allowed to say, hey, these investors are not allowed to invest. It shouldn't just be free. It's the free open market. It's not free whenever the largest international investment firms are able to just buy up and control literally fucking everything from your video games all the way down to the toothpaste that you use.
Argues that Sony can no longer claim players have the option to buy physical copies if they don't like PlayStation Store prices. Once new games are no longer released on disc, the PlayStation Store will become the main place to buy new PlayStation games, which I've been saying since...
Yeah, and they can control the price. You won't be able to get a deal on games unless they say so. Call of Duty games will just be $60 forever like they are on Steam, which they already are on PlayStation, $60 forever digitally. If you go and buy a physical edition, then it's like fucking $10, $15, $20. But at least on Steam, you can use like codes and shit. You can go to websites and buy the games on sale. PlayStation's not going to allow that.
Since this announcement happened, like, even if you do not play physical games, even if you don't buy them and you don't care anything about physical.
Yeah, the physical games, the way that they're bought, sold, and traded, affect the market.
It's going to affect you because this will completely move the power to Sony, to their entire ecosystem of controlling the prices for their online store. And you will have no competition. It'll just be them. And that's it. Law professor Daniel Wallach told that Sony has, quote, essentially destroyed its own defense because the company can no longer point to physical discs as an alternative for consumers. And I love, by the way, how Sony announced this and saying, oh, it's for you, the consumers. We're doing you a favor, taking away an option for you.
80% of people buy digital games. What about that 20% who buy physical games? And also that 80% digital, Is that including retro games? Is that is on your storefront? Does that include like indie games? Does that include the free-to-play games that don't have discs? The live services? Yes, it does. That's what is included in this 80%. They're not talking about 80% of our first party games. They're talking about overall. So many games just don't have physical versions, especially the indie games, and most people buy more indie games than they do the AAA slop.
And you're welcome. Anti-Coffee Gamer says, guess what a new study found? It's not like the gamers didn't know this, but we now have evidence why they want to eliminate all physical evidence. I've been saying this for years. Sony and Microsoft have complained about physical copies for years. Data shows physical PlayStation games can be up to 90% cheaper than their digital versions.
That's actually how much games cost, by the way. That's how much they're worth. It's like $10, $20. Some people will buy a game new. Actually, a lot of people will buy a game brand new. Most people who play games don't do that. Regular people who don't buy every single game on release, they buy used. They go for deals because they just can't afford it. And it's getting worse. The economy's getting worse. What are they thinking, man? They're out of touch, actually. They're not thinking anything. They actually don't know what the average consumer is like. They've lost touch with regular people. They're only communicating with investors.
Sony ends disc production in 2028. Newer games will only be available at full digital price. And we have a couple examples here I wanted to go through. Not that you need to see this because you already know this. OJ Player says, physical games should not go away. It's way better for consumers.
Or let us make our own. I would actually prefer that. I don't even care if you don't sell physical games. Have your games be able to be like DRM free to put on discs. And if you want to talk about piracy, if you're a better service than free, then people will go for your service over the free version. I don't pirate games. I pirate like old games, but I don't pirate new games. Like newer games, I like to have my library. So I will buy games. If you do that, if you just let people make their own physical copies, that would be so good for you. And you could even keep selling them at full price if you allow people to just make their own physical copies and be able to sell them.
Even if you only buy digital. Demon's Souls is much cheaper as a gift or for yourself physical compared to digital as an outright purchase. Having the choice for both is worth fighting for. Demon's Souls, $69.99
yeah, see?
On the PlayStation
That's what I'm talking
Store.
about.
Digitally. Demon's Souls on PS5, physically on Prime. Get it tomorrow.
Emulation is catching up to him, man. PS3 is almost at 100% emulatable. PS4 is next. That's just one generation back. PS5, people are working on it right now, bro. And the PS6 is not going to be much better than the PS5. And if people can't buy a PS6 because it's way too fucking expensive and the games are way too fucking expensive, they'll just go back to the PS5 emulator.
48% off at $36.40. Just one example, by the way. Josh,
yeah, they can't have that because that's $40. Somebody already bought that at full price, so now they're losing out on that $40. Or actually, they're losing out on $70 because that the person that would be buying it for $70 because they want it, they're buying it from somebody else for $40, and they don't get that $40. The person who sold it to them gets that $40.
This is what they want to take away from you. Astrobot, $60 for the standard edition. Quote tweeting Wario64. Astrobot physical game, $39 on Amazon.
I'm sorry, guys. The license ran out for this game, so we're gonna have to remove it from purchase. Microsoft, they do that all the time. PlayStation does that too, but Microsoft, they like to remove games from their storefront. And people don't really notice because they're still able to get those games elsewhere, and everything is an Xbox, and a bunch of those games are on Steam also. But like Forza 4, you can't get that anymore. It's gone. You can only get the physical version. Could you imagine if they do that and there is no physical version? It's just gone. Gone forever.
Curious how that works, isn't it? Josh the editor, shut up, PlayStation. When PlayStation was posting, enter a world where sound and spatial orientation are your main guides in this narrative experience. Coloratura is coming to PlayStation later this year. And yes, the comments are going exactly how you'd expect them to. It's me with the middle
Ricky
finger.
Berwick.
I am not a fan of what Sony's trying to push forward with. Neither is everyone else, as you can clearly see.
There are a bunch of retard defenders of Sony that are, in quotes, for it. I don't think they really are. I think they're just against everybody else because they're dickheads.
If buying isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing.
True.
Making a big comeback. But you do wonder if this is a bubble on the internet or if it's how the vast majority of gamers actually feel. Nicola says, comments under PlayStation posts from the no discs announcement to yesterday. And yes, they are dropping rapidly, but also you have to remember these have more days and more.
You know what I'm predicting is going to happen? It might not happen soon, but let's say 30 years, 40 years in the future, and when we have an all digital future, what if we go to World War and somebody decides that they're going to take out all the servers for Sony because they're providing services to people to make them feel good? So somebody's like, well, we can't allow people to feel good anymore, so bam, 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 bomb all their servers, bomb all their headquarters, and then you just won't have anything. Everything will disappear. You don't want that, man. It will all be fucked, and it might not take 30 years. It might take 10. It might take 2. We got some stuff going on with China right now. It's getting real fucked.
More time to get more comments. So as time goes on, these will go up in comment.
What if Japan just gets wiped off the face of the earth? What if California just gets wiped off the face of the earth? There will be nothing. It'll all be gone.
As well, but there is a pretty stark contrast between the original and the more recent ones. The petition is 300,000 after 13 days, when it should have been at 5 million after 48 hours. Not looking great. Now, this part I actually agree with. Not that petitions actually do anything ever, but this is one of those, it lets you know the sentiment of the community and what people feel.
Also, yeah, I think over time, people are realizing that petitions don't work, so the people who normally would sign petitions just aren't doing it because it's a waste of time.
And seeing as it's not jumping to something ridiculous right now, it does make me wonder, does the average person out there not care? Hassan Bajwa says, outside a tiny bubble on social media,
most people barely are into video games, like into the culture at least. Such as my roommate, he likes playing video games. He's not into the culture. He'll just, find a game console at a yard sale or something, and then he's got a game console with some games. He doesn't care about all the other games. He just cares about what he got.
No one gives a fuck about physical media. And Nicola says, I was impressed by the noise made the first 3 days. I actually
don't care much about physical media. I want DRM-free files that I can do whatever I want with. And I will pay for that because that is a better service than piracy. Because with piracy, it's hit or miss. You might be able to get your game. You might not. It all depends on if somebody's putting it out there. It might be broken. You might be able to find it and then never find it again. Sometimes it's just way too hard to try and get a game to work. But if you got that DRM-free file that I can buy, that I can just turn into a disc or move to another system, that is ideal for me. I will buy your games.
They had something and a real decline would happen, maybe a month in.
I actually have an idea to where, like, say you got a PlayStation 5 and you have a PC, you buy DRM-free files on your PS5, plug your PS5 to your PC directly with a cable and have some kind, or you don't even have to do that. Maybe you just have your PlayStation account and there's a PlayStation service on PC instead of just having it on Steam. You have some kind of app that runs your PlayStation games from your PS5, not streaming, like actually the files. And you got to like have that, even if you got to pay a one-time fee for it, but you know how that goes. There'll be a one-time fee at first, and then eventually they'll move on to a subscription service.
Then, not 2 weeks, for fuck's sakes. At most, it's an inconvenience for people, and Sony knew in the short term they'd be getting flack from the vocal, physical media crowd. It was never sustainable, though. vast majority of PlayStation owners are strictly digital and too invested in the platform to leave.
Yeah, and they are enshittified all throughout Sony. So they're trying to cut costs, but they don't want to stop enshittifying. And enshittifying costs so much money, because they always got to be bigger and better and pack everything into it. We can't just be a game console anymore. We have to be a media machine. We can't just be a media machine anymore. We have to be basically a PC. They even released like a desk setup with like a monitor and keyboard and mouse because they're competing with PC. It's just a lesser PC.
And it's almost in a weird way, like Sony has been carefully curating their audience over the years to create this dynamic in the environment ecosystem of just players that want digital out of their games, knowing that eventually they'd be pushing forward with an all digital.
Forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do.
Console, likely in the PlayStation 6. And I got to be honest, guys, the more this controversy moves forward, the less interested I give a shit about the PS6. It could have the greatest game on planet Earth.
Yeah, I don't fucking care. I don't play new games, so fuck them. Fuck them all. Fuck Sony, fuck Xbox, fuck Nintendo.
And I'm still like, you know what? I got a backlog a mile long.
Yep,
good, bro. MBG says, I know we still have time, but as it stands right now,
I've been into DOS games, and I feel like DOS games are just unlimited. It is infinite. There are so many. Like, if I just tried to play DOS games for the rest of my life, I would get through 10% of the catalog. There's so many fucking games.
I think the PS6 might genuinely be cooked.
Yep.
Between the digital-only backlash, it likely being double the price of any previous PS console.
I think we'll get a PS6, and then halfway through the life, they'll just stop. There will be no more. They're going to crumble, especially if we have another world war, which seems like that's going to happen, especially with the announcement that China was meddling with our elections. Dude, they are so fucked. The economy is going to get so much worse, and people just aren't going to buy their shit. They will buy a mini PC, or they'll just play stuff on their phones.
Console, and the diminishing returns on graphics just seems like the perfect storm to me. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. Pirate Nation says,
yeah, what's the point of making bigger and better if everything is less optimized and looks the same?
The UK's Entertainment Retailers Association,
and it's all gay,
has criticized Sony's decision to stop producing new physical PlayStation games from 2028, calling it a triumph of corporate convenience over consumer choice. Era CEO Kim Bailey said removing discs does not represent progress and said that physical games give players more freedom by allowing them to buy, sell, trade, lend, and keep games without relying on digital storefronts, which is very true, by the way.
They could just let us do that with the digital games too, but they won't.
If Sony actually wanted to save money and still have digital, but still give you the power, control, and ownership of the game, they could sell you a key card, just like Nintendo does. They could still give you something so you at least can sell it, trade it back, or have it for preservation until the store goes offline. But doing the digital only,
well, that still is going to cost money to do that.
Gives you zero.
They're trying to do the least amount possible so they can spend their money on enshittification.
Value when you buy it at the store. The group warned that ending physical releases could reduce competition. It will. Leave players with fewer options. It will. And make game preservation more difficult. It will. Pirate Nation.
Game preservation is completely fucked. Actually, they like that. They don't like game preservation because people go back and play the old games. They don't want people to do that. They want people to play the new, bigger, and better games. That's why they keep doing like remakes and remasters. They don't want you to play the old games. They want you to buy their new games.
Analyst says Sony's move to digital-only games was inevitable. Compares it to Apple.
By the way, they don't even care if you play the games and like them. All they care about is that you buy them. The only reason they even make games, like actual, like these types of games and everything's not just the same, is because people won't buy them unless they're actual games. They have to just like pretend that they're selling games. If they could just like take your money for free and not give you anything at all, and it's just free money to them, that's their preferred option.
Removing CD drives. This This has got to be good. Industry analyst Daniel Ahmad, which this guy is a hardcore woke-tard who has me blocked, and I've seen many things he's posted in the past that I just roll my eyes at. So, of course, this guy in the media is going to be saying, oh, what Sony's doing, they're ahead of the curve. It's what Apple was doing, too, and everyone criticized Apple, but Apple was right, remember?
Yeah.
Daniel Ahmad.
And now, look, nobody's talking about Apple. Apple used to be, like, the biggest talk. Every year, oh, the new iPhone. Who's talking about the new iPhone anymore? Around iPhone 11, dude, they were huge. Everybody was talking about them. Everybody wanted that thing. What iPhone are they on right now? What Samsung phone is out right now?
Ahmad believes Sony's move to all digital was only a matter of time. He compared it to Apple removing CD drives from its laptops in 2008. At the time, many people complained, but Ahmad said, not a single person's complaining about.
Oh, by the way, the people that are, like, you know, completely out of the space, people like my roommate, those are the people that Sony likes, because they'll just buy their stuff without thinking about it. They're still playing PS4. They're trying to pull in the people who barely care, but those people aren't playing the new stuff. Like, what are they gonna fucking do
about it today? Ahmad also, this is apples and fucking oranges, I guess. I don't know what apples and planks of wood. Like they're two different things. Apple removing a CD drive is not Apple selling you games. Apple removing the CD drive is making it slimmer, making it smaller, and going a direction of where PC gamers already were.
And it's not really a PC gamer system. It's more for, like, business.
What Sony is doing is trying to redirect where the people who purchased their console in the past were into digital only. And at that point, why not just buy a PC? Ahmad also...
Well, don't you want God of War Laundry? Or Laffy? I don't even fucking remember what it's called. Leifei? Fuck. I don't know. Well, you don't want Spider-Man 3? You don't want Wolverine? That they just, you know, completely made gay and they have women running it?
Believes Sony was always going to reach this point, saying, if not the PS6, then the PS7, because the console market is now nearly entirely digital. My counter to that is, if you do not have a physical media on your console, you do not have a reason to have a console. So by removing that, you're removing the entire point of having the console, because it's so superfluous. There's no...
What Sony is getting is the retards that are just able to buy everything and eat up their slop. You're not getting the actual real people who are invested into the gaming culture. You're getting the morons.
Difference. It's ambiguous. Everything's all the same right now. You can't even tell the difference between anything. The only thing that makes it different is your media exclusive to your console. Otherwise, just get a PC.
Hold on. Like, look at this. If I didn't tell you that this was God of War Laffy, you wouldn't know it. I have to tell you that's what it is. Or you would think that it's just some other game. And guess what? I lied. This is Dragon Age the Veilguard. Because, I mean, like, look at this God of War Laffy landscape. This could be any game. It could literally be any game. And you know why it could be any game? Because it is. It's not God of War Laffy. It's Forspoken. Like, these games are just... They all look the same, man. Like, look at this other Forspoken screenshot. This could be in God of War. Y'all, guess what? I lied again. This is Horizon Forbidden West. Like, the scenery all just fucking looks the same. And, like, look at this other screenshot from Horizon Forbidden West. It could literally be any game. That's because it is any game. This is Borderlands 4. Now look at this Horizon Forbidden West screenshot. Oh, it's obviously fucking not. This is Borderlands 1 or Borderlands 2. Fucking obviously. Because it looks like it. Like, this is what happens whenever you chase all the sameness because you don't want to take risks. You want to make everything look pretty. The biggest and best landscapes that are good for wallpapers. But you can't tell the difference between any of the fucking games.
However, he says the bigger issue isn't the end of physical games. Instead, the industry should focus on improving digital consumer rights. I strongly agree with that. Right now, Sony's trying to...
And also, just making different games, man. All the games are the fucking same. The combat feels a little different. The walking feels a little different, kinda, but you're still just walking most of the time. In these open world games, or people want to make movies, but they make games instead because they're not good enough to make movies.
Get their cake and eat it too.
Like Wolverine.
And they don't want to give any consumer rights. They just want to be able to take, including game ownership, refunds, gift.
They're going to take, and they're going to spend more money on things that they want to do and spend less money on things that we want. And that's why everything looks the fucking same. That's why everything feels the same. God of War Laundry, mark my words, is not going to feel much different than Horizon Forbidden West.
And family sharing. And unfortunately, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I hate to say the big G word, but the government needs to get involved if this is the direction they're trying to push it.
Nope. Absolutely disagree unless we get some new people in the government. Right now, we got a whole bunch of old retards that have never played a video game in their life who barely even watch movies. Like the last movie they watched was Terminator 1 in the 80s. I don't think any of this is going to really get fixed until gamers start getting old and start getting into the government.
And take away consumer rights. MBG says, Sony really is just willing to watch every one of their social media posts get absolutely fucking wrecked. I don't think I've ever seen a company.
Well, all of this is making them more money, so it's going to help our economy. So yeah, I agree. Let's just keep making everything worse for consumers.
That's what's going to happen when you get the government involved. They're just going to be like, oh, actually, you're not going hard enough and fucking everybody over.
Express such a lack of care in their fan base before.
You're leaving money on the table.
This is some next level shit. Absolute morons running PlayStation. And it gets quote tweeted by Jim Navok, who I've quoted many times before.
Actually, I don't think it is absolute morons, because the people running PlayStation, they're going to be rich as fuck for the rest of their lives. They got multi-generational wealth. So if the thing that they're just trying to make as much money as possible, as fast as possible. And if they destroy the company, they're still going to be living a great life. They don't give a fuck about the company. They only give a fuck about themselves.
Formerly Square Enix Holdings. He says, the internet called for boycotts of Hogwarts Legacy, and it was the best-selling game of that year.
Oh, fuck. I can't take home a $4 million bonus anymore instead of taking less for the bonus. Because I need that bonus. I got to have that yacht. We're going to have to cut everybody's pay and start laying people off because I got to make $500 million a year for myself.
A few months ago, people were calling for boycotting Fortnite when they reduced the amount of V-Bucks in Battle Pass and other V-Bucks rates. There was no impact. Internet outrage does not lead to problem in most cases. Sony sees zero threat.
That's because the people who buy V-Bucks are retarded. It doesn't matter. They'll complain about it and be like, fuck, they raised the price on this. I hate this. I'm still going to buy it, but fuck, I hate this.
And as of right now, I think they know this better than anyone to navigate the social media.
Also, those are the same retards that cry that the economy is bad. Oh, I'm making less money. I'm barely able to survive, but I have to have PlayStation Plus. Like, it's got to happen. Oh, I got to have Netflix also. Oh, lunch. It costs too much. Why does it cost $30 for lunch every day? Make a fucking sandwich.
Media of just, yeah, we understand you're going to be pissed. Kick and scream all you want, but we will wait you out and you will still buy.
Like, it's the retards that go on to Caleb Hammer's show. That's who keep buying all this shit.
Our console.
And they're everywhere.
When it comes out. I don't know how true that will be in this case, at least from my own personal perspective, which is all I can speak from. Anti-Commie Gamer says, gamers, we have more good news. Sony continues with the free fall of their stock. We must
Is that
unite.
good news?
We must work together.
I don't think that's good news. I think that if they're losing money like that, then they're going to go harder because they're trying to cut costs. If they're losing money, they're going to try and cut even more costs. And who are they going to cut out first?
Keep applying pressure. Keep canceling PSN. Keep canceling pre-orders. And keep canceling GTA 6.
They're not going to.
The louder we are, the more we continue to post.
Dude, the amount of people who always cry about this shit, who are still going to buy GTA 6. It's like they don't hold their principle if it's something that they just can't live without because they got FOMO. So many people that I watch too.
The more we continue to speak with our wallets, the worse it will get for them.
And it's like with the Odyssey. So many people are like, don't buy into the corpo slop. I mean, I'm still going to go watch it so I can tell my audience not to go watch it. Oh, I didn't get it on the first time. I'm going to have to watch it a second time so I can really get a feel for the movie. Now I'm going to have to take my friends so they can get a feel for the movie, and they're going to have to watch it a second time. It's the same fucking retards over and over again.
They can't ignore the majority continue to boycott Sony. I am proud of all of you who have joined in the fight and welcome anyone else who wants to help.
Well, it's my job to consume this content. I'm a content creator. Everybody's a content creator.
Keep going. We got this. And showing a screenshot of the past 5 days. And yes, here is the past 5 days.
Yeah, that's Sony. Not good.
And it has lost about just over 4% in 5 days, which, I mean, at least it's going down, but the grand scheme, it's really not. It's negligible. I think Sony's bigger issue that they're facing right now is the future.
They're going to hold that line, man. They're not going to allow themselves to collapse that easily. They're going to just keep letting everything get shitty, and they're just going to cut costs so they can keep that line.
And I think people know that you're going to be getting a PC. People aren't buying consoles anymore. Unless you offer a buying proposition that gives you something unique.
That is a good point, though. People aren't buying consoles really anymore. And you know what they do? They used to, they're like, well, shit, nobody's buying the consoles anymore. We better make them cheaper now. We better come out with the Xbox 360S and the 360E. That it was cheaper to build because years and years have passed and we didn't make it bigger and better. We just refined it more. They're not doing that. They're not doing that anymore. We're not seeing those midlife consoles anymore. And like with the Xbox One, they didn't even do that. They came out with the Xbox Series S. Oh, wait, no, the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, which was a more powerful version of the Xbox One. That shit was retarded.
That isn't available elsewhere. There's no reason to buy your console. And as it stands right now, not to sound like a Nintendo fanboy, but Nintendo really has cornered the market in having exclusive games that people care about, that have a unique buying proposition on something that can only do what it does, and the only place you can play those games. Now, sure, you could say, oh no, Sony has exclusives too, and Microsoft has exclusives too, and they're just as good as Nintendo properties. And
nobody ever talks about, though, you know where most gamers are? Do you know where most gamers are? They're playing emulators on lower end hardware, like cheaper PCs, laptops, or their phones, and they're playing mobile games. Mobile games is the biggest market because don't you have a phone? Everybody's got a phone.
They're not. I just they
Speaking of everybody's got a phone, you know what I'm doing right fucking now as I'm making this video? I've got my phone mounted in front of my face with a controller plugged into it playing Minecraft.
They're not. And I don't think Sony has the staying power to continue to push the trend that Nintendo has done for.
They're going to start selling off some of their lesser properties, the properties that they're not planning on using. They're going to start selling those off soon.
Years, decades. At this point, it feels like centuries with Nintendo doing what they do. And it feels like because Sony and Microsoft have...
Actually, it has been a century. It's been over a century, man. What was it? 1998 was 100 years for Nintendo. Like, they know how to get people to buy their toys. They are a toy company. They make games for mostly children, but they make toys for adults too. That's why they got like M-rated games and stuff on there now. They didn't used to do that, really. Like, you got Metroid and stuff.
Themselves into a corner. They have nowhere to go now except lose. Meanwhile, Nintendo will continue doing what Nintendo does and tracking their own path while PC exceeds. And
I think that Nintendo is going to go back to full-on physical games soon too. Not for like the majority, but I think they know that people love their collectibles, and physical games are just super collectible, man.
And blows doors everywhere else. But we'll see what happens with Sony. I am very curious with the PlayStation 6. Like, more so than anything I've ever watched covering in the industry in my life.
You know what I think Nintendo's gonna do? You know what Nintendo does whenever they start losing money? Yes, they raise their prices. Like, thus far, who knows how it goes in the future. But they'll raise their prices, but they give a bigger incentive to buy them at that bigger price. Like, they'll make the packaging nicer. They'll give away something with the game that isn't really making any money anyway.
I think the PlayStation 6 is going to be the bellwether for the future of the game industry direction. And right now, gamers are reaching a fork in the road, and we're going to see what direction they take. Nintendo can keep doing what they do, and they've proven that they
I'm
can
already out.
succeed.
Like, I've been out for years already, and people are just, following behind me.
Perfectly fine. If they make a respectable system that people want to buy, people will buy it to play their games. I don't think the same can be said for Sony and Microsoft, though. I really don't.
You know where they
some more just had a lot.
You know where they started fucking up? They started fucking up all the way back in the PS2 era, doing all these licensing deals and whatnot. If they would have never done any of those bullshit licensing deals, we'd have had a PS2 Mini by now. That was a problem with the PS1 Mini. There were so many amazing games that they just couldn't put on it because of they just didn't have the licenses anymore. Stop doing licensing deals, or do, like, infinite licenses if you're going to do licensing. Make it to where the license never expires. Oh, we can't do that because of the law. Change the law. Change the policies. They can do it. There's just somebody behind it not allowing it because they're making money off of it. That's where they fucked up. The PS1, they kind of started to fuck up, but PS2 was way fucked up. They can't even do a PS2 Mini. But they totally could. If they made a PS2 Mini, people would buy the fuck out of that. That's the end. Go away now. Like the video first.